Windsor, North Carolina, Sunday evening, June 1993. The local B-Low grocery store is winding down for the night. It is the quiet, mundane end to a typical weekend. Inside, 6 people are finishing up their shifts. There's the store manager, a cashier closing out the registers, and a 4-man overnight cleaning crew gathering their supplies to wax the floors. But they aren't alone. Sometime before closing, a stranger slipped inside undetected. He is waiting in the shadows at the back of the store, perfectly still, letting the last few customers filter out. At exactly 6 p.m., the staff follow their standard protocol. They walk to the front, turn off the main lights, and lock the glass doors from the inside. Minutes later, the stranger emerges from the back of the store, brandishing a handgun, and immediately corners the store manager. Those locked front doors were meant to keep intruders out. Instead, they sealed the staff inside with one. What was a safe, familiar workplace suddenly became an inescapable trap. With the gun drawn, the stranger confidently directs all 6 employees toward the isolated meat counter at the rear of the store. He orders the manager to tie everyone up, but he hasn't brought his own supplies. Instead, he improvises. He pulls rolls of gray duct tape and dog leashes right off the store's shelves to bind their wrists and ankles. Once they are secured, he issues a chillingly specific command. He forces the 6 captives to lie face down on the floor in 3 overlapping pairs, stacking them so that a single bullet could potentially pass through 2 bodies. The victims lie still, complying with his orders and praying this is just a robbery. Then the man points his weapon down into the piles and pulls the trigger. The tight space echoes with gunfire as he shoots directly into the helpless staff. After firing several rounds, the gun either jams or runs completely empty. He abandons the firearm, walks over to the meat counter, and grabs a large butcher knife. He returns to the bleeding victims and begins slashing. The ensuing attack is so violently aggressive that he actually snaps the thick metal blade off inside one of the victims' backs. Robbers steal money and flee to avoid detection. This extreme overkill, combined with the methodology of stacking human beings to conserve ammunition, reveals a deeply sadistic desire to inflict maximum carnage. Amidst this brutal violence, the killer exhibits a bizarre shift in demeanor. He approaches one of the cleaning crew, Jasper Hardy, and asks if Jasper can identify him. When Jasper says no, the killer casually replies, "Okay, big man, I'll let you live." The stranger gathers the day's cash and money orders, totaling just over $3,000, drops the money into a plastic bag, takes the keys, and walks out the door. When police arrive, they find a scene of absolute devastation in the back room. 3 employees are dead, 2 are clinging to life with critical wounds, and Jasper Hardy is left completely untouched physically. During the ordeal, the killer told his victims he was a fired police officer with nothing to lose, but investigators quickly spot holes in that story. The spent .45 caliber casings on the floor and the fact that he brought no extra magazines strongly contradict standard police or military training. Outside the store, witnesses provide the first major break. Several bystanders report seeing a white 4-door sedan speeding away from the area immediately after the massacre. Crucially, witnesses note that the speeding car was carrying out-of-state license plates from Maryland. The physical evidence is a mass of contradictions. He showed the cold calculation to lie in wait and stack his victims, yet lacked the foresight to bring restraints or enough ammunition. These conflicting behaviors left investigators with no clear path forward. The surviving witnesses are able to provide an incredibly detailed physical description. The suspect is a slender black male in his early 30s, with a military-style haircut, light brown slanted eyes, and a distinct bump on the bridge of his narrow nose, likely from an old sports injury. The FBI enters the investigation and builds a psychological profile. They assess the killer as an intelligent, intensely manipulative individual, someone who could commit a bloodbath and seamlessly blend back into everyday society. Behavioral experts noted that the killer's need for total control and his manipulative nature would likely make him a threat to those closest to him. Because he seemed so comfortable with violence as a means of silencing witnesses, the FBI developed a specific theory that the killer was living with a romantic partner who was being actively controlled through fear and abuse. Local police, the State Bureau of Investigation, and the FBI pour resources into the case. But despite the eyewitness accounts, the vehicle description, and the highly specific physical profile, leads dry up. Days turn into years, and years turn into decades. Today, an active $30,000 reward remains on the table, Authorities are certain that someone in the community knows his name and simply hasn't found the courage to speak it. The lives of Grover Cecil, Joyce Reason, and Johnny Rankins were stolen for $3,000. The physical wounds of the survivors eventually healed, but the true horror of that June evening is that a man capable of such brutal, intimate violence walked out into the night and may still be walking among us today.